If you're watching this, you're probably looking at a way for you to manage your own scoliosis. What I'm going to show you is ways to stretch and strengthen your back that will actually straighten up the curve here. This comes from Dr. Dave Tiberio and Gary Gray, both physiotherapists and researchers who've discovered ways of using exercises and functional movement to actually increase the optimal healing of the body. What we have here is an idiopathic scoliosis. That means no known cause. If the scoliosis comes from a fracture to your middle back or to something that you actually can attribute it to, this may not be very effective. But if the doctors have checked you out and you don't know why you have a scoliosis, this is a really good bet for getting your back nice and straight. Usually a scoliosis happens in this S-shaped pattern. And this one, we're looking at someone from behind. So it's like you're looking at me from behind. We're side bending to the left in the upper back. So upper back, side bent left. And with that, there's also a rotation. When the back side bends one way, it will rotate to the opposite way. So it's side bent to the left, but it's rotated right. And this arrow signifies that it's coming back to the right here. In the lower back, we're side bent to the right, and that means we're going to be rotated slightly to the left. So we need to correct those movements. And the first thing we're going to do is actually lengthen this upper curve here. And the way to do that kind of makes sense. The way to do that is literally just to put one hand above your head and lean to the right. Okay, you can see how that is going to actually lengthen the back. And a really good way of holding that stretch is to lean against the wall. So if I just face this way, put my hand up here and I'm just leaning against the wall. So it looks like this. I'm just leaning against the wall. The second thing we need to do is to actually derotate or stretch this rotation here. So you imagine I'm actually rotated to the right. To stretch that, I would just twist to the left. So pretty straightforward. I can just face here, put my hand on the wall and hold it there. So if you're going to do those, you can hold them for about 30 seconds, just enough time for the body to sort of start stretching and for the ligaments and the muscles to relax into that area. But to make it even faster, you can actually use a third movement. The body does three movements. It goes left and right, so we call this in the frontal plane, or it can rotate, but it also bends forwards and backwards. So if we use those three movements, we're going to get a faster change. So I want to straighten up this side, so I'm going to lean to the right. Then I want to derotate this curve that's rotated to the right, so I'm going to twist to the left. So I'm going to hold that position. But then, if I just bring in some bending forwards and bending backwards, very slowly, this is going to stimulate the muscles and the nerves and the ligaments in this area to adjust way faster than just holding one movement. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the movement to in my middle of the back here. I can use my head as the sort of the primary driver or the primary sort of leader of the movement, or I can use my upper chest here. So we're just like that. From behind, looks like this. And then from the front, I'll be leaning this way just a little bit, rotating this way, and just getting my back to move there. Okay, so that is the lengthening component of this side, lengthening component of this curve. Now we need to move on to the lower back. I've just got a spine over here to show you. So essentially, we're like this. The lower back is a little bit bent this way, and the back's bent this way. So in order to straighten out my lower back, what I could do is I could just put something under my left leg, and that would straighten out my lower back. So all you need to do is stand on a book or something about a couple of inches high, depending on how bad or how severe your scoliosis is. Now here's the interesting part. Where it's side bent to the right here, it's also going to be rotated to the left. We need to actually step forward with that right foot, because what that does, it creates a relative rotation correctly in the lower back. So if I step forward with my right foot, I'm actually going to derotate my spine from below. Imagine if I have two vertebrae like this, and this is the one underneath, or this is the sacrum at the bottom. It's just bending forward like this, and that's created relative right rotation. So the thing is rotated left, but we want it to rotate to the right. And the way we do that from below is by using the right foot going forward. So very easily, we just step forward with the right foot, and we put the left foot on something. And that's the stretch for the lower back. Ideally, you could actually combine them. So you would stand in that right foot forward position with the left foot on a little step, lean to the right, rotate to the left, and just do some very small movements through the upper back. In that way, you've pre-positioned the lower back, and then doing the exercises with the upper back. You got them both at the same time. Now we need to think about how we strengthen these movements. So to strengthen the upper back, I need to get these muscles here with these arrows coming in. I need to get them to work together like this, and that will straighten me up. So if I put a weight in my left hand, if this weight was to win, it would pull me down this way, lengthening these muscles. But for me to push the weight up, I need to strengthen these, or contract these muscles, so I'm going to strengthen them. So in the side bending, to strengthen these muscles, all I'm going to do is put a weight in my left hand and reach up to the ceiling. The weight you use can vary, depends how strong you are and so on, but we don't want to look for much more than 15 repetitions of that. But we can also vary the speed, and we can vary the weight, and we can vary how many times you do it. There's lots of variables there, but generally 10 to 15 repetitions of a weight that's kind of comfortable for you to use. So that's strengthening these, but we've got this rotation through the spine. If I hold this up here, you've got this rotation to the spine that's bringing these ribs backwards, and that can sometimes be seen as kind of a ridge or lumps on that side. So the ribs are backwards here, so we want to bring those ribs forwards. And the muscles that are going to bring those ribs forwards, the abdominal muscles, and they come round to the front here. So the way they're going to do that is you're going to push something or pull something from behind you into this movement here. So I've got a little TheraBand, FlexiBand thing. And what I would do is I'd pre-position my feet again, right foot forward, left foot on the step or on a book, and I would just push my right arm. So really using my abdominal muscles against the resistance to derotate this upper back. Now you can do both at the same time, and so you just hold the weight in your left hand and you just push the right hand forward as your left hand goes above your head. So this isn't a follow along, this is just to show you how to do it. But again, you do 10 or 15 of these movements, feeling your spine really corkscrewing and twisting up into a straight line every time you do that. For the lower body, the opposite applies. Now remember, we're working from the hips, so it's going to be a little bit different here. So we know that right foot forward, left foot up is how we want to be. That's the final position. So what we would do is we would start opposite to that. We would start with the left foot forward and then step back onto a step. And one way to do that is actually to put a band around your ankle so that when you pull back, you're actually going to resist that stepping back with that left foot. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually standing on some books so that the left foot starts slightly lower than the right foot. And so the muscles that lift up this left hip are going to be really working hard to get up onto the other book, which is slightly higher than the one that's underneath the right foot. So they're pulling on the band and they're lifting up at the same time. So if you use all these movements, lengthening this side, derotating here, and then putting some resistance behind it, you're going to create the correct muscle length to open up the curves and the correct muscle strength to hold those curves as well. Now, the amount you do these exercises or the number of repetitions really does depend on your sort of physical capability, any pain that you might be experiencing. But generally, let's say if you're fit, you're reasonably healthy, you're looking at 10 to 15 repetitions every day at this exercise. The body responds to what you ask it to do. If you want it to change its position here, you have to ask it to change its position. The more you ask it, the better it gets. So it's like an athlete, for example, wanting to get fit. They're not going to train once a week. They're going to train every day. The reason they train every day is their body is going to respond faster, it's going to respond quicker to that everyday impulse, or everyday input of weights to make it stronger. Same with this. If you want to change your back, you do this daily, 10 to 15 movements, all these different planes, hold the stretching, and then do the strengthening afterwards. Hold the stretching for about 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, start with, and then do the strengthening 10 to 15 repetitions afterwards. I hope that helps, and I'll be looking forward to everyone having nice straight spines. Take care.